Welcome to today's morning report on Tuesday the 14th of July with me, Rich Perry, market analyst at Handtech Markets. European trading session, fairly sort of cautious start really, nothing too majorly going on. Markets seem to be settling down after obviously the euphoria of this fabulous Greek deal that they finally thrashed out yesterday. But the Greeks have got to get it through the parliament, and that to a certain extent is sort of just put investors on the back foot a little bit today. The realisation that there's still a few hurdles that they need to get over before we can actually put this one to bed, or seemingly for the time being anyway. But certainly it looks like there was an amount of cheer yesterday. Here's the VIX on the US S&P 500 options, and yeah, the volatility on that has dramatically decreased on the announcement of this deal. And it's interesting that we're starting to see sort of the bond yields just settle down again after that. That gap higher on the German Bund yield was on Friday, and then subsequently traded higher yesterday, but then started to settle down again. So already we're seeing that move settling on the euro as well. We seem to be slightly lower, but just still, crikey, what have I done there? Let's try that again. But still a little bit flat today. Now, what we actually have to look forward to today is actually all the data. We're going to focus much more on data today, I think. We've got, first of all, the Eurozone inflation data. And that's sort of been coming out through the morning, really. It's fairly mixed at the moment. Nothing too out of the ordinary. It's all the final data from like Germany and Spain and Italy, but the focus I think will be more on the UK CPI that comes out 9:30. That's actually forecast to come in at slightly down from last month. We saw this slight pick up from having been in deflation a couple of months ago. There was a slight pick up to inflation of plus 0.1%, and it's forecast to come back down again at 0.0 today. And that could just put cable on the back foot a little bit. It is under a little bit of pressure going into the data, just down sort of 0.2%, but nothing too significant yet. But certainly, I think the UK inflation data at 9:30 will have a driving force on cable today. Then we've got the German ZEW, which is interesting because the German ZEW certainly has links to German growth. And the last couple of months have been, 3 months actually, if you look here, have been rolling over. And again, we're forecast to come in slightly lower at 29.0, down from 31.5. So continued deterioration in that ZEW, which would not necessarily help the euro either. So a couple of bits of data early in the morning session today, which could help to drive a stronger dollar. Then into the afternoon, we've got the US retail sales. Now, retail sales, this is on the month-on-month data. Last month it was at plus 1%. Forecast to come in at plus 0.5%, so slightly down from that. But it's interesting that we had June last year at plus 0.5% as well. So that would suggest that the year-on-year data would be basically flat on that announcement. So that would be a pretty much sort of market neutral bit of announcement there. So it wouldn't showing any improvement in retail sales, but crucially as well, it wouldn't show any deterioration. Market certainly has been seeing retail sales picking up in the last sort of couple of months, and certainly if it comes in above 0.5%, that would certainly help that improving outlook on retail sales in the States, which has been a bit disappointing recently. But certainly improving retail sales would drive that expectations of potentially even a rate hike in September, but I still think that's highly unlikely. I still think December is more in the play. So that takes me to my chart of the day, which is dollar Swissy. Now, dollar Swissy has sort of been consolidating. It had broken that downtrend, which had been in for 3.5 months there. It's been consolidating the move above, but you can see this big overhead resistance at 95.45. It looked early on in the session today as though it's going to be testing that move, but it's certainly now has just fallen away quite sharply, actually. If you look on the intraday chart, that comes up. There you go. Look on the intraday chart, it's fallen away quite sharply. Now I've got it quite long range here because I wanted to show you this pivot level around 94 figure. 94 figure is a big pivot level on dollar Swissy, and if you zoom in there, you also get a further element of old sort of pivot level as well at 94.20. That old support became new resistance, and bang, yesterday it got broken to the upside. So that will be, I think, a nice little 20 pip band of support there, 94 figure to 94.20, that I would be looking at as potentially a support band. Now, on the near-term basis, these momentum indicators have certainly rolled over. Sorry, excuse me. The momentum indicators on the hourly chart have certainly rolled over. RSI falling away, MACD lines crossed over negatively, stochastics also selling off. So it's corrective, very near term, but I still think that there is something in this sort of push towards that 95.45 resistance, and I think that is that's a key overhead resistance. That's the key May high. So that is a level that certainly is a big barrier overhead. Seems to be pushing towards there. Yes, you've had this initial decline away today, but I still think there is pressure on 95.45. I would be looking out for the daily RSI pushing above 60, which is basically where you got the RSI turning lower from in that May move, and it's also been sort of turning lower at that point as well through July. So below 60, above 60 on that RSI. If you see that move, that could be an indication that we're about to see some sort of a breakout. Also, the stochastics, interestingly enough, have sort of gone into a fairly positive configuration. They're not falling away yet, although you wouldn't want to see them certainly below 60. But certainly at the moment, the stochastics are still positively configured. But it'll be very interesting because obviously we've had this turn back on the day to day, and I would be looking out for possibly a new low back around that 94 to 94.20 to then sort of find some sort of a upside push back towards that 95.45, which could well be seen at some stage soon. So bit of a general outlook there on dollar Swissy, but I hope it's helpful for you. Anyway, I wish you good luck in your trading today, and I'll speak to you later. Thank you.